So in this video, let's do a deep dive on the concept of spotlight or focus in the classroom. Now, focus or spotlight, as I like to think of it, is simply the idea that you're making it 100% clear to your students exactly where they should be focusing their attention at any given moment during the class. And I say this because sometimes it's not obvious. The students find themselves looking at each other and thinking, what should we be doing right now? You're trying to avoid that by making the focus or the spotlight crystal clear. Now, to be clear, when there's only one teacher in the class, as there is for most classes like math or science or English when when the ALT is not there, then there are two fundamental spotlight or focus modes. Either the students are focused on the teacher who's teaching at the front of the class, explaining at grammar point, for example, if it's an English class, or the students are focused on something else, maybe on their tablets, on a worksheet, maybe on some pair or group activity. Now, when there are two teachers in the class, T1 and T2, as there will be when you're in the class, of course, then now we have four possible spotlight modes. Either the students are focused again on the JTE alone, who's teaching, for example, or they're focused on the ALT, who's leading some game or activity, for example, or students may be focused on the two together, on the JT and ALT together, because they're doing something called small talk at the front of the classroom. Or, finally, the students again may be focused on neither the JTE nor the ALT because the students are focused on their worksheet or their tablet or group work or pair discussion or something like that. So let's take these in reverse order. Now, when the students are focused on neither the JTE nor the ALT, then your job as ALT will be the same as that of the JTE, and that is to walk around and unobtrusively, right, without getting in their way, making sure students are on track and not having problems. You want to be as unobtrusive as possible. You want to not disturb the students, right? Interfere with the students, but you want to make yourself available if there are any questions or problems. Now, when the focus or spotlight is on both you and the JTE together, that's probably because you're doing something called small talk. It's often done, in my experience, toward the beginning of the class, and that's when you and the JTE may stand in front of the board and give sort of a model conversation, a model dialogue that demonstrates the target structure for that lesson, for example. Or you may be asking each other at the beginning of class, hey, how was your weekend? Or where did you go? Or what did you do? Or something like that, as sort of an icebreaker, if you will. Now, it's worth noting here that I've noticed over the years, let's bring it back to me, in my experience, some JTEs don't really like to do this. They don't like to share that spotlight. So you may have a JTE who does like to share the spotlight with you, okay, and that's great. But if you have one that doesn't like to share the spotlight, just accept the fact that there are some JTEs like that. Now, when the JTE has the spotlight alone, and the students are or should be focused, laser focused on the JTE, who may be standing in front of the blackboard explaining a grammar point or something, just basically not using you, the ALT. In that situation, your job, I would argue, is to defer to the JT and to stand off to the side and be as unobtrusive as you can. Now, I make a point of saying this because I was in a training session not too long ago, and I heard the opposite view expressed. We were talking about this topic, what you should do when the JTE has the spotlight. And one JTE raised her hand and said, well, I think, you should walk around, the ALT should walk around among the students and sort of, in some vague sense, kind of try and help out. But the problem is this, walking around among the students, just the act of walking among them, makes you a distraction. Students are going to be tempted to look at you, the fun ALT, instead of the JTE, who may be, explaining something very seriously at the front of the class. And you want to avoid being that distraction, okay? So my advice is to stand aside, off to the side, or even to the back of the class and put, frankly, as much physical space as you can between yourself and the JTE to make it easier for the students to focus on the JTE. For the most part, when the JTE has that spotlight, you want to, stand back and stand by.
Stand back and stand by.
And let the JTE have that spotlight. Now, in the final case, when you, the ALT, are now leading some game or activity, you may hope that the JTE sort of returns the favor and stands back and stands aside and lets you lead the activity or the game in English completely alone and let the students be focused on you. The reality is this, many JTEs seem not to have got the memo, and you will experience JTEs they may cut in while you're talking, they may talk over you, they may translate your English into Japanese, sort of a simultaneous translation. They may make silly comments about what you're talking about. They're trying to be funny. I don't know what it is. I'll give you an example from my own experience because let's bring it back to me. Several years ago, I was in a class with a very nice teacher, very nice JT. We got along great. She was a wonderful person, but she had the following annoying habit. For example, I was in the habit of giving a quiz in some of my classes. This was junior high school, first year. And I would do a short listening quiz where the student just listen and choose ABC, very simple. And she would let me do the quiz myself, okay, in my own voice. She wouldn't interfere. But after the quiz, I would ask the students, do you have a red pen? Because we were going to check in a red pen, okay? And she, trying to be helpful, she would walk around the classroom among the students saying, "Hi, akapen deshite kudasai." And like through gritted teeth, I'm saying to the students, let's check in a red pen. And she's saying, "Hi, akapen de kotae o shimashou." And I'm thinking, geez, shut up. I don't need that. The students understand. Third grade elementary school students understand, do you have a red pen, for example. They don't need the translation. In that case, I made the following mistake. I made the mistake of asking that teacher later on after the class. I said, we were in the staff room and I walked over and I said, "Thank you so much for your class. I always enjoy your classes," which was true. I did. And I made the mistake of saying, by the way, when I'm leading, when I'm doing the quiz, for example, or some other activity, that's an opportunity for you to take a break, okay? If I need you to jump in, if I need your help, I'll ask you, I promise. But please, take a break. I invite you to sit down if you like at the back of the classroom, grade papers or whatever. She did not take it well. I could see the irritation on her face. And she did get marginally better after that a little bit, but I sensed it didn't sit well with her. And at that school, I got an evaluation later in the year, which was, I got nothing negative, but one anonymous evaluation from a teacher at the school, maybe her, maybe someone else, I don't know. But the comment on the evaluation was this: "James seems to be preparing too much for the classes. It's as if he wants to be T1 rather than T2. Please tell James," said the comment in the evaluation, "to take a more relaxed approach to class." And I think it was this teacher a little miffed that I was asking her to stand back and stand by. Now, why is it? Why is it that some JTEs will want to sort of jump in and sort of interfere, encroach on your spotlight? Is it a jealousy that you have the spotlight now and they don't? I mean, let's face it, let's be honest. It feels good to be the focus of anybody's attention. And when you have a class of 30 students maybe focused on you and maybe laughing like that, it feels good. Yeah, maybe they're jealous of that. Maybe the JTE wants to demonstrate that they understand your English by translating it, for example, where if you're speaking English, even if it's very simple English, and if they were to just say nothing, just be silent, they worry that the students may interpret that as they're just not understanding what you're saying. I don't know. Is it a gag reflex, that sort of the lack of control when they're handing the reins of the class, as it were, over to you, and they don't like to be out of control like that? I don't know. I just simply don't know the answer to this. I do know, I'll give you two takeaways from this video, at least in this situation here. Takeaway number one, defer to your JTE when they have the spotlight. Don't encroach on their spotlight, okay? Stand as far away as you can from them, but don't expect them to return the favor when you have the spotlight. And takeaway number two is don't make a fuss when the JTE doesn't respect the concept of spotlight or focus. And when they interfere or talk over you or try and translate your English into Japanese, it's just not, there's no easy answer to this. So in closing, let me give you one partial solution I found to this problem of the JTE encroaching on your spotlight. It's not a complete solution, but I think it helps a bit, and it's the following. Let's bring it back to me. I've been asking or telling my teachers, in the first week or month or so of our working together, I sort of take them aside at one point or go up to their desk and I say, let me make a promise to you. I say, when you have the spotlight, when you are or should be sort of at the center of the student's attention, rest assured, I say, I may not use these words, that's flowery language for many JTs. Please understand that I will stand as far away from you as I can. I will go to the side or even to the back of the classroom and help the students to focus on you. I'm still available. I'm still there. I'm ready to jump in, help out in any way, but I'm just putting some physical space between myself and you, and I'm going to be as unobtrusive as I can so that the students can focus entirely on you. That's my promise to you. And I flatter myself to think that some JTEs may get the point, get the hint that I'd like them to then return the favor. So you can try that and see how much luck with that you have. Thank you as always for watching. I invite you to leave comments in the comments section. I do read and respond to any and all comments. And as for subscribing and like that, I don't give a rat's ass whether you like or subscribe, but I hope you come back for more. And thank you very much. Take it easy.